I am now accountable to use my privilege and influence for good. My mission is not to convince Black folk that I'm a safe place, but to convince other white women to be safe spaces and to advance racial equity in our lifetime. When people burn out in this space, it's because their hopes and dreams of making a difference have been buried under competing demands and ever shifting expectations. There is nothing like a community of women to lighten the load and find the fun in it somehow. Creativity is key. Hi, welcome to One Voice Evolving Podcast. I'm your host, Kim Brassor, and our mission is to reclaim the joy in diversity, equity, and inclusion, also known as DEI spaces. We intend to dive deeper than the surface and bring on guests who are raw, real, and relatable, shifting the conversation away from the academic presentations normally offered to white women. I'm having some fun with this idea of recovering Karen because she and her archetypical cousins provide a caricature of what white women in our culture could unconsciously devolve into. I have a long history of helping highly functioning addicts and alcoholics with recovery, and particularly women ready to live their dreams without drama. So this particular intersection with racial equity and executive coaching and the impact that white women are having on the lives of Black women, even with our best intentions, is the elephant in the living room that needs to be talked about. And I excel at the messy middle. It's what I do. I talk to people about the things everybody knows and nobody's talking about, and we bring it to the surface and we put it on the table so we can feel it, deal with it, and heal it once and for all. As a white woman, my understanding of racism has been shallow and sheltered. The privilege of my skin color has afforded me doors open that I once believed were universal rights that everybody could access. It wasn't until later in life that I truly saw the barriers faced by those who don't share my complexion. I acknowledge living in a white bubble of privilege, and that allowed me to flirt with change and retreat to my comfort zone at will. If I got too many haters, if it got too uncomfortable, if it was inconvenient, I could just go back into my bubble and pretend I didn't see what I saw or know what I know or heard what I heard. This ability to retreat into my comfort zone at will is a luxury not afforded to my Black and brown sisters, and one that ultimately I had to be intentional about shifting. This work that I do now and that I'm committed to making a difference is as much about my voice evolving and not going back into the woodwork when it gets inconvenient or difficult, but every day in every way, making it an intentional to be anti-racist. With privilege comes responsibility, and white women, including myself, have a crucial role in dismantling racism and advocating for fairness in our societies, communities, and creations. I recognize the imperative to break free from generational constraints and face the reality that has always existed, but I have been blind to. I am now accountable to use my privilege and influence for good. My mission is not to convince Black folk that I'm a safe place, but to convince other white women to be safe spaces and to advance racial equity in our lifetime. When people burn out in this space, it's because their hopes and dreams of making a difference have been buried under competing demands and ever shifting expectations. There is nothing like a community of women to lighten the load and find the fun in it somehow. Creativity is key. I don't think that we can solve a problem until we can see the problem. And when we say we're colorblind, which sounds like a really magnanimous thing to do, the thing to remember is that colorblind is still blind. It means that we are not listening, appreciating, or learning from the lived experience of the people next to us in our workplaces, in our churches, in our communities, maybe even in our families. And it means that we are still centering our comfort above their freedom. That is not acceptable to me. It's not the way I want to live, nor is it conducive to a successful future for our organizations or for our country. So, like, save, subscribe, and share so your friends can join us every Friday for a peek behind the curtain of embracing joy in DEI spaces. We have some powerful guest lines up for you, and I can't wait to see us evolve together.